You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Imagine how you felt about LSU leaving the Florida game. It's painful, but put yourself back in that mindset. I was over at Don Juan with T-Bob getting ready to do whiskey and wine, and man, it was the lowest vibes have been under Brian Kelly. 3-game losing streak. You mix in an open date in between, and it was a long time since you had won a game. And you had a shellacking where you got dog-walked by Alabama. Really disappointing the way you blew it against A&M. A game you totally controlled against Florida. And everyone starts to question, man, is the program going in the right direction? And the even worse fear is, man, you play this poorly the next 2 weeks, you could finish 6-6. Like, that was a very real thing in play. And you fast forward to Saturday night, and you've got strong wins against good teams. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you Vanderbilt and Oklahoma are great shakes. Those are 500 football teams. But those are also 500 football teams that had really nice moments. I mean, Vanderbilt has a great win against Alabama. They played Texas toe-to-toe for a bulk of that game, battled against a good South Carolina team. Oklahoma beat Alabama, played Tennessee. It's going to be a playoff team, toe-to-toe. I mean, solid, not good team, but solid teams. And you had really strong wins, including a bludgeoning of Oklahoma 37-17. And I'm not sitting here telling you need to do backflips over going 8-4. I am not sitting here telling you should celebrate this season, because there was more disappointment in this season than joy, jubilation, elation. Losing a season opener again with everything on the line against Florida, and you blow it in a game you control. An opportunity with Alabama in your place, and you no-show. I mean, all the things, like, there's more disappointment this year than good. The Ole Miss win was really good. But whenever you have all of your goals taken away, you wonder how a team responds. Is there buy-in? Are they going to quit on the coach, give up on the season? Are there going to be opt-outs? There's a lot of that stuff that could happen, and you see it especially in college football now, where NIL and the portal allows that to be more commonplace. I mean, heck, there's a safety from Georgia who announced he's entering the transfer portal because he hasn't started the last 2 games. Started 10 games, benched the last 2, and now Georgia's going to play in the SEC championship game. He's entering the portal. So it does say a lot about your culture and your buy-in and your commitment and character and all those intangibles with how you play. And LSU went out the last 2 weeks and played good football and won a couple of games. First of all, when we talk about Saturday night, I got to start with Garrett Nussmeier, because this is a Garrett Nussmeier legacy game. You're not playing for the college football playoff. This isn't a playoff game. This isn't to go to the playoff. This isn't the SEC championship game. It's not to clinch a berth in the SEC championship game. This is a 7-win team against a 6-win team on a freezing cold night in late November with nothing on the line really but pride and want to. And Garrett Nussmeier in the second quarter goes down with what let's acknowledge it. We all thought the exact same thing we saw that play, didn't we? He's kicking his feet, he's grabbing his shoulder. We're all thinking he broke his collarbone, he separated his shoulder, he's done for the day. What is it? AJ Swan? Is it Ricky Collins? At that point in the game, you're tied and thinking, you've just given up a defensive score. I mean, it ain't good at that point. And not only does Nussmeier return, but on his first possession, he tells Brian Kelly, bleep it, I'm throwing the bleeping ball, throws a 40-yard touchdown pass with his injured shoulder. And then on the first drive of the third quarter, there's a 3rd and 5. He runs up the middle for 7 yards, doesn't slide feet first, goes head first and lands on his right shoulder. And then on the next possession, when you're up 14, you're facing a 3rd down, a 3rd and 4, and here's Nussmeier running to the sideline, diving and reaching the ball for the sticks. with his injured shoulder exposed. Like, if you didn't already believe that was the guy, if you doubted that dude, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, there should be no more questions. Garrett Nussmeier, provided he plays in the bowl game, is going to finish with the second highest passing total in LSU football history behind only Joe Burrow. And he's a breath behind Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman a year ago. That's on a team that's had no semblance of a running game for a bulk of this season, that at times the offensive line has been poor, and certainly in the last month has been a product of injuries. But I don't know how anybody watching this guy as a first-time starter can doubt what his ability is. Look at draft boards. Look at quarterback rankings. Field Yates put one out today. He's got him as the fourth best quarterback in the entire draft. And there's people in this fan base still doubting this guy. Shouldn't be any more doubters after Saturday. Hell of a game by Garrett Nussmeier. Hat tip Aaron Anderson was named the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week after the 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And man, did that come at an amazing time. You want to talk about sometimes like serendipity. Aaron Anderson was only in the game because Xavion Thomas got his bell rung. It's the only reason Aaron Anderson was back there. And remember, Nussmeier got hurt. Oklahoma took the lead. And so now A.J. Swan's going to have to go back out there with LSU trailing. Aaron Anderson, 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, takes the lead. Well, actually, it tied the game and bought Nussmeier time because the defense went back on the field, bought Nussmeier time to get back out there and go in the next possession, which, of course, he did. And Brian Kelly said after the game they're anticipating Aaron Anderson returning in 2025. Huge moment, a massive moment for LSU in that game itself, and certainly a great moment for Aaron Anderson, who's been one of the breakout stars of this season. He's second to only Kyron Lacey in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, and then he had the big 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. I loved seeing the youth movement on defense. Devon Keys, 10 tackles, a sack, a TFL. Dominic McKinley, 2 sacks, named the SEC Freshman of the Week for his efforts. You saw Ahmad Bro. You saw Carpenter, Singleton, Relaford, Woodland, all playing significant moments defensively for LSU on the defensive side of the ball. Love to see that as you build toward the future. And listen, if we're going to criticize when it's warranted, you give credit when it's due. And Paul Mabenga has not been good. Like, that is, I'm not trying to call out a young guy who was thrust into a really tough situation. You wish it was Garrett Dellinger. Tyree Adams should have been next up. He's injured, so Mabenga has to go in there, and his first start's against Bama. And there he is starting against Bama, and then at Florida, and then Vandy in Oklahoma. And every single week, Paul Mabenga got better. His Pro Football Focus grade against Bama was a 26. Remember, this is out of 100. 0 being the worst, 100 being the best. His grade against Bama was a 26. Against Florida, where he gave up 3 sacks, it was a 33.3. Then against Vanderbilt, 66.1. And then against Oklahoma, he tied Miles Frazier for the best pass blocking grade of any of LSU's offensive linemen with an 86. Again, he deserved, criticize when warranted, but credit where it's due. And that's one of the things you hope to look forward to in the future is maybe these young guys who played a lot this year continue to improve and can play a bigger role next year. Y'all, I'm not suggesting that you should be satisfied. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying rah-rah, Cole poosh, go old war school, purple and gold, 2 bits, 4 bits, all that stuff. 8-4 is not what anybody wants. It's massively disappointing. But I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit to the last 2 weeks and say how you responded in those situations coming off the 3 straight losses is a sign of bigger picture culture. Now when you go into the offseason, you start to figure out, how do you avoid the season opening loss? How do you finish the games against A&M, against Florida that you had in your grasp? How do you make sure you don't let what happened against Bama happen again? Listen, I get it. Everyone's wondering, when will next year be this year? Oh, wait for next year. Wait for next year. When is next year going to be now? And a strong finish to this season, and more importantly, a strong December will be a clear indicator if 2025 is the time that LSU makes its move under Brian Kelly. Because on Wednesday is the early signing period. A week from today, Monday the 9th, the portal opens, and LSU has said they're going to be aggressive and they're going to be spenders. When the month of December ends, when that portal window closes, and we have a better sense of what LSU's 2025 roster is going to look like, we'll have a very clear indication of if next year is now for LSU. But the way they finished against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma is a really, really good sign about the buy-in of this roster and the culture in this program. Now you got to go get better players and keep improving. See if they can do it this week will be huge for that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.